Alrighty. Good morning, guys. How we doing? Good morning, good morning. 4 a.m. in Alaska. Oof. That's an early morning. Thanks for being here at 4 a.m. That must be tough. That must be tough. So, it seems earlier today than usual. I don't know why. Maybe because it's like crappy out here in Florida. It's very foggy this morning. But good morning, everyone. How we doing? Big drop on the market. Yesterday was, I think yesterday actually was the largest drop, or at least the most vicious drop that we've seen in a few weeks. So if we look at the hourly chart yesterday, I mean, it's just straight down. That's yesterday's from 11, just vertically down. So as we saw, pretty nasty move yesterday. Congratulations to anyone that traded the downside. I think you have to continue to trade the downside. That's just how this market is right now. So congrats to anyone that took advantage. I've been scalping the downside here and there. Not going too crazy. Just I'm really focusing on what shares do I want to purchase. That's my main focus right now. So I've been obviously adding. I've been adding shares to the long term. I'm obviously going to be red on those. I'm definitely red on my portfolio this year so far. Obviously, I mean because of the downside, but that's not focusing on the short term. So that's what I'm doing right now. Yeah, I've played puts. I played puts on Baba, played puts on Nvidia, played puts on Tesla. So yeah, I haven't bought. I think I've bought only 2 call options in the last few weeks, and those are long dated call options. Those are not anything that is in the short term. So yeah, definitely on the put side, definitely on the downside bias so far. You have to be. I mean, you have to be, right? How can you? I don't think you can go into these days looking for much of a push higher until it really shows us something, guys, because these moves, they just continue to fail at previous day highs. They continue to fail at previous resistance levels, and it's pretty easy to spot. Like, for example, yesterday, we were watching, previous day highs. So here we go. We were watching this in the chat all day. We were getting that morning pushed, right? But we were saying, hey, be careful up here. Be careful up here. Look at this. This is Friday's lows. This is where we rejected Tuesday. This is where we rejected on Wednesday. And the same exact thing yesterday, right? Look at this. Just a perfect rejection at previous day highs. If you start to see that, you have to trust it. You can't just ignore the fact that we are pushing into a previous day high and say, hey, I'm going to buy some calls here because the market's going higher. These levels have to be respected, because you can see, look at how it respected this 15,320 level both Wednesday, yesterday. So that was just that was pretty easy. I wouldn't say, yesterday's move to the downside was something that should have caught anyone off guard if you were really watching the charts. Because this is a pretty easy double top rejection. And when you started to see that thing slip, it just made a lot of sense, didn't it? I know it's easy to say in hindsight, but even during the day, you could see, if we go to the 1 minute chart, guys, just a matter of reading price action. Here's the 1 minute chart. So we'll go over this real quick and then we'll get into the actual live stream. But you guys can see, yesterday morning we got that nice push. But what happened around 11:30? What happened around 11:30? We started to make lower highs. Right? These lower highs started to come in. Here's your high right into resistance. And then look at these lower highs that started to build. You get your breakdown, you get your breakdown of this channel right here. Perfect little break in. Everything just made sense. Perfect. Look at this. You can see we got our lower highs. That was the first sign. So intraday, you're saying to yourself here, hey, Nasdaq just hit previous day high. We're making lower highs. Let me be careful here. And then on top of that, your full confirmation is support. Look at this right here. Look how perfect this was right here. breakdown, push higher, rejection at previous support, and boom. And that's it. That's it right there. That is it right there. This right here at 1 o'clock is the shift changing or the trend changing rejection. This is the most important moment of yesterday's price action right here. The fact that we turned previous support into resistance at around 1 o'clock. Since then, you guys can see what happened, right? So, if you can, and I know this is difficult, right? I know this is easy to say in hindsight, but if, spotting these things intraday, that's what gets you, that's that kind of experience and skill to catch that intraday. That's what you need to work on. That's what you need to figure out a way to find intraday, because that is what's gonna, make you know you're in the right direction, know you're on the right side of the trade, and that's what potentially could, turn you very profitable, right? So yesterday was a pretty easy, example of just another bull trap in the morning and another push down to the downside. So we'll see what happens today. We'll talk a little bit about it. Let's go ahead and get started here. Hopefully you enjoyed that little example there. It sort of makes a lot of sense to me. Yes, Craig, like Craig is saying, that is when, that is partially due to that Peloton news, I believe. I think the Peloton news, the drop in Affirm, the drop in Peloton started to just unravel the market, and then the selling algos just went crazy. That was around the exact same time. I think that's sort of what caused this downside. I wouldn't say it's the full reason for the downside, but it gave the sellers that extra confidence of saying this thing's coming down, right? It just piled on top of each other. So today, as always, futures, economic calendar, earnings calendar as well. Friday, so everything's in the pre-market. I don't think we have much today on the earnings calendar. You got some banks, Ally Bank, some smaller banks. Nothing I'm really concerned about. Big one obviously was Netflix, and we'll take a look at that. Economic calendar today, I don't believe we have much, but what everyone is waiting for is next week. Next week is FOMC. So today, nothing. Next week is Wednesday. Wednesday of next week, guys. FOMC statement, Fed Chair Jerome Powell news conference. So that's the big day next week. So make sure you're aware of that. All right. Push this back over. All right. Let's see here. Let me pull up the Google Docs. For any of you guys that are members of the YouTube channel, make sure to go ahead and put your tickers in the Google Docs this morning. You can find that on the membership tab of my channel. And we'll go ahead and go over those later today. All right. So Netflix, we'll take a look at that. Down $100 a share off of earnings. Nasty. Very nasty. And I actually took a put option on it. I don't, it's not something I'm proud of. But I have shares in my long term, and I said, I have a little bit of buying power left, and let me go ahead and hedge my shares with some puts, and I think that's going to work out pretty nicely. So we'll see how much those are up today. I have a $3.95 put. They're actually almost in the money, which is pretty wild. Tesla resistance. This morning in the pre-market, Tesla has turned $1,000 into resistance. This is the price action that I want to show you and why I think this could actually move lower today if Tesla holds below that 1,000. Why did Disney take a dip? Because Disney, Roku, and Netflix are all sympathy moves. They all move together. So if Disney had bad earnings because of Disney Plus, Netflix would fall. If Roku has bad earnings, Disney and Netflix would fall. Disney and Roku will fall. It's all a sympathy move. It's the same reason why you would see a stock like Nvidia react off AMD earnings. You'll see, Microsoft react off, let's say, an Apple earnings. It's a sympathy move, and it's very strong with Netflix, Disney, and Roku. That's probably the strongest. I would say that's probably up there as one of the strongest sympathy moves in the market. And it's because if Netflix is foreseeing a loss in subscribers on their streaming platforms, then you can anticipate that Disney is seeing the same type of economic trend. It's going to be very rare if Netflix sees a decrease in subscribers that Disney sees an increase in subscribers. It's usually just an overall macroeconomic trend, and that's why those will react off each other. So that is just something you have to know. It's always going to happen. It's always going to happen. So Tesla resistance, Peloton and Affirm bloody. Peloton dropped, and there's news that last night. There is news that report was fake. I'm not sure what to trust, but last night in the chat, someone shared a article that the CNBC report that they are stopping their production of their bikes was actually a false report. I don't know what to believe. So here is straight from Peloton's website. Rumors that we are halting all production of bikes and treads are false. I wish I could tell you. I wish I could tell you what the truth is, but I can't. That is why Peloton, I think, is moving slightly higher here in the pre-market and last night. That is why it moved right here, this spike here last night. That is because of this news that came out that it was not true. So, you guys make your own decision. We'll see what happens in the price action today, but that's very interesting. I don't know which side to believe. That is the harsh reality that we are in right now. Who to believe. So Peloton downside because of that news, and then Affirm went to the downside, guys. If you didn't really understand why Affirm dropped, it's because Affirm is Peloton is a very large company, or a very large percent of Affirm's revenue, because people will pay, buy now, pay later with Affirm through Peloton. And if Peloton is not going to make their product, then that means no one's going to be using Affirm, and that is a bad thing. That is a bad thing for Affirm. So that's why you saw that downside on Affirm as well. Nvidia 230, so great, just awesome downside on Nvidia. We'll take a look. Excuse me. XLE. You guys knew we were watching that 20 SMA on the 4-hour chart on XLE. That has officially broken down. So I would keep an eye on XLE to the downside, especially if the whole overall market starts to slip. Watch out for energy to the downside. I'll show you that. Alibaba and Qualcomm gap fills. And we'll also add Dollar Tree to that because these charts look pretty good. I like Qualcomm and Dollar Tree for gap fills to the downside. They have some very big gaps on the downside that I would be interested in playing. So I'm going to show you guys those two. And then finally, the stock that I love, but I believe is getting pretty frothy and pretty heavy on the upside is Abbvie. Abbvie, if you go to the weekly chart, here's what the weekly chart looks like. And in my opinion, this is looking like it's ready to take a fall. Look at these wicks on the upside on the weekly chart. So I'm thinking this is going to come back down probably to at least, right around this 120 area. So I'm definitely going to be watching Abbvie for some put options as well. All right, so that's what I got today. We'll obviously, look at some other stuff, and we'll look at what the members want to look at. So let's go ahead and get started today, guys. Let's knock this out. Let's not be here till 9 o'clock today, huh? So here's the Nasdaq. Here is the daily chart. Oh wow, look at Abbvie. I don't know if are you from the chat, because that's an ongoing joke. I think you probably are. So here's the daily chart on the Nasdaq, guys, and it's definitely a little bit worse than I would have thought. I thought maybe we would find at least something here at the 200, but we really did not. We really did not. We showed a little bit of push higher last night or early morning yesterday, but we gave that up clearly. Right through the 20 SMA like it was nothing. And the next level that I could really see this coming back to, and I think it probably will come back to, is this 14.5. There's not much, there's not much of anything there before 14.5. So you got your support here, you got your support here, You got a little bit of support here. And I think that 14.5 has to get tested here. That would make a lot of sense for it to just come back to this, horizontal demand zone right here. So 14.5, that's that's where I think we could drop to. And if we do, that's another 200 points today, guys. That's another like 1%. So we'll see. Do we get that move down to 14.5? If we get past 14.5, we're coming back down to this 14. I mean, there's definitely some, downside to be had at this point. So next level would be this structure here at 14,000. So, we'll see. 14.5, 14,000. Besides those two big levels, I mean, there's not much structure here. So you really would like to see 14.5 hold. You'd really want to see a little bit of hold here at the 14.5 level. That would be pretty crucial. Right now, we are from the highs. Let's just take this high, I guess. From the highs, we are just about 12% to the downside. So we're in a correction technically. So if anyone is wondering, when's the correction coming? Well, you are in a correction. This is a correction. 10% or more is a correction. 20% or more bear market. And that is, so 20% would take us down to, where's 20% taking us down to? 20% takes us down to around 13,280. So pretty big drop if we go 20%. But right now we're about 12% down. That's a correction. So the Nasdaq is technically in a correction. And we're going to be looking at 14.5 and 14,000. What I would be watching for today, this is how you read this price action today on the shorter term time frames. For today in specific, you see if you can push into previous resistance. So here and here. If you start to see the Nasdaq push into these previous highs, you need to look for downside. If you see this, right, back into the 14.8s, if you start to see that rejection come in intraday, something like that, then I would look for this move, right? I would look for that move because that is a previous resistance. So look to see, does the Nasdaq push higher in the morning? Does it start to fail at 14.8? If it does, you look for that flush. If it goes further, then I would say this 15,000. 15,000 previous lows will turn into resistance. It absolutely will. Unless this market just goes on an absolute tear today, which I really can't imagine, then I would look for that 15,000 level. So those are your short-term levels to watch for a rejection today. 14.8 right here and 15,000 right here. If you start to see the Nasdaq push into those levels and start to reject, you need to look for the downside. If you start to see them pushing higher and starting to turn into support, then that's, something that's a little bit better, right? If you see it turn into support after breaking through, then that's, that's different. So make sure to have those levels on your chart today, guys. 15,000 and 14.8. All right. ES, very similar. Let's go to the daily chart. So the ES is at the 20 or 200 SMA now, right? We're right around that 200 SMA. So let me delete this, get that out of the way, clear this up a little bit. So here we go. ES is, let's see, how far is the ES off the highs? Let's get that. ES off the highs, right around 7%. So we're not in a correction yet on the ES. Correction is 10%. So about 7% on the ES, right at the 20 SMA, or 200 SMA, I'm sorry. So watch that level today. That is 44.20. So that's a level to watch today. 44.20 to the downside. You also have a little bit of structure in this area. If we drop below that, I mean, you have this 43.25. You have the lows here of around 42.70. So I'd watch the lows of this little consolidation if you do break the 200 SMA today. Now, could we see a little bit of a bounce off the 200? Yeah, absolutely. You absolutely could. Let me go to the hourly chart, and let's take a look at the same thing we just looked at on the Nasdaq. What levels do we need to watch for a rejection if we start to push to the upside? So, first one is obvious, right? Right here. Right around this 44.75. Next one, 45.15. Next one, 45.40. And then I think this right here is going to be the big level that I would be very, I would not expect us to get through here. That is that previous support into a double top resistance. That is now like the brick wall here on the ES, 45.80, 45.90. So this morning, guys, if you start to see the ES push higher, here's the 5-minute chart. If you start to see the ES push higher, watch for the rejection here and watch for the rejection here. Have those levels on your chart. 44.75, 45.15, and then 45.40. So watch that. That's the ES. All right. The Dow daily chart, below the 200, below the 100, below everything. Big level is obviously down here at 33.8. Let's just call it 33.880. That is previous lows, previous lows, previous lows, previous lows. That is a level you definitely want to see hold. So have that as like your last resort type level down here, 33.880. To the upside, you have the 35.5 resistance, and the Dow is just in a big chop zone here now, right? You're just back within this big chop zone. So I think it's better if we just look at this in the short term, and it's the exact same thing. It's the exact same thing, as the rest of the index. Like, look at this right here. There's your high. Here's your other high, and these are the levels you got to watch. I mean, everything's the exact same, right? We looked at the ES. That's what it looks like. You look at the NQ. That's what it looks like. You look at the YM. That's what it looks like. They all have the exact same kind of price action chart formation. So if you start to see these indices push into these levels, watch for that resistance to come in. On the Dow, 34.680 and 34.880. Watch out for those levels there. Okay, finally, the ugly RTY. If we go to the daily chart, actually, let's go to the weekly because that really shows us what's going on here. Look at this. This is not a good move here, right? This is not a good move. We are breaking down from a year-long sideways channel. That is not something you like to see if you are bullish on small caps. So big flush, like just a knife right through that support. Daily chart, you guys can see just really ugly. This is a tough one. I wouldn't be anywhere near this. I mean, unless you're just looking for more downside. So maybe watch for these previous highs here to turn into support. Also right around this 19, let's just call it 2000 psychological. That's probably what it's at. So watch for that 2000 psychological level to hold. Previous highs here, 2000 is a nice psychological number. If we go to the 5-minute chart, you guys can see that's where it held this morning right here. So you can see here, stocks move like futures or futures move like its components. Yeah, Daniel, that's a really good question, man, and that's something that I don't really have a solid answer for you, but if you would the way I think about it is an index is made up of stocks. So if you want to know what the broad majority of stocks are doing, you would look at what the indice is doing, because in my opinion, the stocks are what's moving the indice, because the indice is made up of stocks. But on the flip side, you have futures traders that are just trading the indice. So, which one's driving which? I wish I had a solid answer for you on that. But all that really matters, and I know that's a question we'd all like to know, but do we really need to know that question? Not really, because all we need to know is that if the Nasdaq's falling, tech stocks are falling. That's all we need to know. If I see the Nasdaq rejecting, I know I know Nvidia, I know Apple, I know Tesla, I know Microsoft. I know these are going to start to slip as well. So, I'd like to know the answer to that question, but is it really important for us on a day-to-day basis to know that? Not really, because all we need to know is that if the Nasdaq starts to slip, Apple is going to slip as well, and I can take advantage of that. So that's really all you need to know, right? So Russell, $2,000 level. If that cracks today, I would assume you get more here. If that 2,000 cracks. Definitely. All right. So that's the futures, guys. What I would look for today, and what I am definitely looking for today, and what I would love to get today, is a fake bounce in the morning, a bull trap into resistance, play that thing back to the downside all throughout the rest of the day, make a lot of money on puts, and that would be fantastic. Now, I don't like to say that because I have a lot of money in a long-term portfolio, and of course, it's not looking very pretty right now. And I also started my M1 account, which is not looking very pretty right now. But, those are losses that I am totally understanding of, totally accepting of, and it is what it is. It is what it is. That's part of the game. So I'm just going to continue to invest my money, and even through difficult market conditions. And as long as the stock market does what it's done for the last how many years, I hope I'll be okay. If not, we'll all sit here on the live stream and see stocks all go to zero together. But I don't think that's going to happen. All right, Netflix. Nasty. Oof. So the expected move on Netflix was $38, right around there. So yeah, it's in the members Kasim. It's in the members. You can just hear. There you go. Netflix, expected move was $38. So the stock closed at 508, right? So if we do 508 minus 38, what does that give you? 470. So the market makers, which were very wrong in this situation, which is good for option contracts, the market makers were expecting a move no further below 470 on the options contracts. We can see that moved actually another 13% to the downside. So this is beating expectations by 13%, and it's almost doubling the expected move, right? So the expected move was about 40. This is down about 100. So it's more than 50% of what the market makers were pricing into the options. And this right here is when option contracts will increase. This has beaten the IV crush. Right, the put options will most definitely be up a pretty ridiculous amount of money this morning if Netflix opens at this level. Right, if Netflix goes like this before open, then yeah, the puts are going to lose money. But I don't think that's going to happen. If Netflix opens down here, put options are going to be up. I would say well over 1,000% this morning, in my opinion. I'm not a mathematician, but I'm going to assume it's going to be close to that 1,000% area. On the put options. So that's pretty big. That is why you have, that is a big move on Netflix, and it's well below what was expected on the option contracts. So we're down to 408. If you straddled it, that'd be great. If I could, let me get some more time here. Okay, here we go. Let me get a little bit more. Hold on. I want to make sure we understand sort of where this is trading right now, because it's pretty obnoxious. So Netflix is priced at right now $409. So this is where Netflix price will open today. I know it's not there. It's because this is the weekly chart. It doesn't show this price action, but this is where Netflix stock is right now, right at this 409. So where's 409 sort of comes in, I think you're holding this previous high, and this is back from July of 2018, guys. July of 2018. 2018, let that sink in, right? This is July of 2018 levels here, and it's also the May of 2020 levels. So right in this area is where you're starting to find that support, right around this 410, 409 level. Now, could there be more downside? I believe there could be. I maybe think we need to see this here around 385, 386. That may be where this needs to come down to. Why do I say that? That is this previous resistance here that maybe we need to test. We might need to test this here at 385, 386. I don't know for sure, but that would make sense to me. That would make sense to me back here at 385, 386. So I'm going to be watching that. I am in Netflix puts. I'm in 395 puts. I bought them for $29. Like $29, not $29 a contract, $29, 29 US dollars. So maybe I'll be up, $1,000 on those. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'll let you guys know. If you want to see what happens, follow me on Instagram. I'll post it there. So 29, or we got the Netflix put. So let's see what happens. 385. That's where I'm thinking maybe it wants to come down to, but just an absolute destruction here on Netflix, guys. Disney moved down because of it. So we'll see the Sympathy moves. You can see Disney move down with that, and Roku move down with that. Those are always going to move together. You can't fight it. That's going to happen every single time. All right. If COVID was not there, this would be, yeah. I mean, Namit, I agree with you. What we're seeing, guys, right now is a stock price return to pre-COVID levels. That is really what we're seeing across the board. We're seeing that pullback to get rid of all these COVID spikes. Like Zoom is probably coming back to $100 a share, guys. I mean, I'm sort of upset I haven't just held puts on this thing forever. I probably should just do that. It probably will work out. Zoom probably coming back to March 2020 levels, right? What else? DocuSign probably coming back to March 2020 levels. Anything that was that stay-at-home trade. I want to say Peloton, but Peloton's just donezo. I mean, it is back to March 2020 levels, right? Peloton's right back there. Can you buy options aftermarket? No, you cannot. So that's what I think's happening. I think we're getting a lot of stocks that are going to pull back to pre-virus levels. It's very potential. Not all of them, but the stocks that got inflated because of it. That's probably what you're going to see. So here we go. Tesla. So where do I think Tesla really needs to come back to again? Probably this 891 level, to be quite honest. I mean, if we really do start to see downside, I would assume Tesla comes to this 891 level. I'm not sure, I'm not absolutely sure, but it is potentially, a very nice support level here at 890, 900. So that would be nice, actually. That would be a great spot to trade it off of, right off that level again. So we'll see if that happens. What I'm looking at today on Tesla, which is a little bit concerning, I must say, if I go to the hourly chart, yeah, I mean, it's going to be fantastic on the other side of this across the board. I mean, I'm excited to see this market start to hold up because, just shares are going to start printing. Every share that I'm buying now is going to definitely pay off in the future. So I'm very happy about. I talked about this in a previous live stream, guys. If you are actually buying for the long term, you should not be concerned about what's going on right now. If you are in a long-term portfolio with the mindset of a short-term trader, then you're probably a little concerned because you see unrealized losses. But if you are actually in a long-term portfolio, then I would not be concerned one bit. All right. So we can see right here, pullback, $1,000 level, right? And look at what happened this morning. Look at what happened this morning, guys. $1,000 has turned into resistance here in the pre-market. That is something I am keeping a very close eye on here. This is very key right here. This pre-market rejection at 1,000 is very, very key. So we need to be careful. If this Tesla move comes back into 1,000 and rejects, this could be a very nice downside play today, guys. So please keep an eye on 1,000. If we cannot get back above 1,000 today, if we see that push in the pre-market or in the early morning, and we start to get that fall, that is going to be a very nice rejection point that we could potentially trade to the downside. There is a little bit of support here, a little double bottom. So maybe we do find a little support off this 890 area, 980 level. So we might get that push. But watch out for that 1,000 today, guys. It's already turned it into resistance here in the pre-market. If I go to the 1-minute chart, here's the 1-minute chart. You can see right there. Look at that rejection. If we get this again, this could be a very nice downside play. So watch out for that. That's Tesla. Peloton and Affirm. The other two destructions. Peloton. So news came out obviously yesterday that Peloton is going to halt production. And we have the big downside back here off earnings, just destruction off earnings, just ridiculous price action. I mean, look at this. Just everyone's just getting out of this stock. Basically, this right here, guys, is just a mass exodus of funds, of big money, just getting out of the stock. It's just a really ridiculous downtrend. So that's gross. And then finally, yesterday, we get another surprise here around 1 o'clock Eastern that they are halting production of their products. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to trade this unless I see like some really. I wish I didn't have any buying power left at this point in the day, which I am very regretful of because that was the easiest money anyone could get. I mean, if I go back to, it might take a while for me. Let me see real quick. Can I get back to 1 o'clock? We had a guy, Rod, if you're here in the voice chat or in the live stream, Rod went ahead and caught this, I think, like the second it started to move lower. So congratulations to everyone in the chat that stays vigilant in the chat, because it really is quite useful to be in a chat room, with everyone's eyes on the market. It really does help. So hold on 1 second. I'm almost there. Almost there. Where's she at? There we go. So what did we get? 1247. 1247 was when we first spotted it. What was 1247? I mean, that's the only way you can catch these moves, right? So 1247 was this candle right here. So we caught that pretty quickly. And, it's just a matter of, thinking that's going to move lower or not. It's hard to play this type of move. I know it looks really easy, but it's just really difficult. You don't know what's going to happen. But yeah, just a crazy push to the downside, and we'll see what happens today, guys. But I'm going to probably be very careful of trading that today. Affirm. Why did Affirm move lower as well? You guys can see right around the same time Affirm started to dip as well. This is because of Affirm being a big part. The big part of Affirm's revenue is Peloton. So big move down on Affirm. It almost pushed back the entire move, which was just a great play on both directions here, right? Big move down, big move up. But it looks like it's starting to sort of settle to the downside. This is another stock that just is in a really bad downtrend, guys. I would look for any push to the upside as a rejection, really. I mean, if you get any more upside push today, I would just look for another rejection. If you get a push back into yesterday's highs, look for that rejection again. So I would just look for any of these previous resistance levels to turn into resistance again, and just look to play it back to the downside, because right now it's just every pop is sold into. Look at all these pops. Pop, sold into, 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 and another pop, and sold into. So why would that change? If we get a pop, I would look for the sell. I really would. So that's my opinion on Affirm there. All right, Nvidia. So as you guys know, we were all looking at Nvidia back to 230. Congratulations, everyone. This is just an awesome play. And I have a few more that look very similar to this. So here's Nvidia. We caught this thing back right around this rejection of 265, if you guys remember. And this was just an awesome 3-day downside move. Congratulations, everyone. Kasim with $50. Damn. Kasim, thank you so much, man. That's going to pay for a lot of coffees. Thank you so much, man. Thank you. Give a nice GG to Kasim in the chat. That's pretty awesome. That's the biggest donation I've ever received. Thank you so much. Hopefully you're enjoying everything. Caught Nvidia gap, nice profits. All right, there you go. Give back some. Thanks, man. Thank you so much. Congrats on your win. So Nvidia, beautiful downside. I mean, I would assume this comes to 230. I can't imagine it holding up here. Maybe gap fill. You guys know, you see this gap here? Maybe gap fill, 240 to 233. maybe that gap fill area. But I mean, yeah, I don't see much until 230 here. So what else looks like this, right? What else looks like this? I'm going to quickly jump to a few others that looks very similar to this move. One of them is Qualcomm. Qualcomm, I think, has some pretty decent downside if the market continues to fall here. Now, why do I say that? I'm going to pull up the volume profile. I don't even know what it looks like, but I can already assume what it looks like. Volume profile on the daily chart. And here we go. Look at what's going on right here, guys. So you got Qualcomm that just flushed through a major support level, like it wasn't even there, right? If it continues to slip here, guys, I cannot imagine much support until either 152 or even down to around 138. This would be a pretty ridiculous downside move if we really saw it into 138. You also do have some volume that picks up there. So I wouldn't, I'd be careful holding it all the way to the gap fill. There is a gap right here, if you guys can't see it. This is a big gap on earnings right here. So I would either look for a fake push to the upside and then another rejection, or I would just look for this thing to start filling this void in volume, probably back down to around this 152 level. So I would watch Qualcomm today, guys. If you see any fake bounces on the market, if you see any bear traps, I would be Qualcomm would be the one I'd look for the downside. I think that one is more interesting to the downside than a lot because I know that it has this downside potential. So watch Qualcomm today, guys. I think this is a really decent setup in this void in volume. Could you look at mRNA? I messed up with my play yesterday. Didn't manage it well. Got scared when it went higher instead of trusting my gut. True Vision, thank you so much for the $4.99. Thank you so much. And we can look at mRNA right now. Let's just take a quick peek at mRNA for True Vision. So mRNA, I believe mRNA has a lot of things working against it. I truly believe mRNA comes back down to maybe even potentially pre-COVID levels. I don't know if that's possible. I think there might be some buying before that. This is where, guys, mRNA was a $30 stock before the virus came out, right? $30 stock. It went up to $500. So there's going to be some people that are saying, hey, maybe I should take my profits here. This thing's looking pretty weak. I'm in at 40. It's now back to 160. I probably should start selling this thing before it comes all the way back down. You're going to get a lot of people that think like that. So, in the long term, definitely in a downtrend. So if we break this down, so so you probably sold your put when it pushed up to here, right? That's probably where you did. And I don't blame you for that because it did make a higher high. It did start to look like it was going to start to push. So I can't really blame you too much for selling it there. If you did, I guess I would understand it because there really isn't much of a level above to sort of play off of. So that would probably fake a lot of people out, this move here. The only thing that I say you probably could have, which maybe would have made you hold it, was to be focusing on the Nasdaq at the same time, because the Nasdaq was also rejecting here. And maybe hindsight's 20/20, but I could see why you probably got out of it here. I could really see it. I mean, you started to get a push through highs. Maybe you got a little bit concerned there. If right around this time, Nasdaq was rejecting as well. Actually, Nasdaq was making lower highs. You can see right around this same time, the Nasdaq was making those lower highs right around 12 o'clock. You can see lower highs, lower highs, lower highs. Maybe that could have kept you in the trade there. And if it did, then it was pretty easy to manage. But, I could understand why you did see that upside move and maybe got out. So next time I would just say, watch the Nasdaq with your trade and maybe have if you're trying to trade a downtrend like this, maybe just have a little bit of a wider stop, because as long as it doesn't get above the previous day levels, you really don't have to be too concerned, right? You could even say as long as mRNA doesn't get back above here, if for today, for example, As long as mRNA doesn't get back above 176, I would say this thing continues to trend to the downside. I know that might look a little bit concerning, on the 1 minute chart, but this could easily just look like this again. So just watch those previous day levels and watch that Nasdaq. That would be my recommendation. All right. Qualcomm, and we had what was the next one? BABA. So the BABA gap fill today. So today I am in BABA puts. We will see how those do today. They are slightly down here. The BABA stock is slightly down here in the morning, down to 129. I am looking for this gap fill. That's why I got into them yesterday. If you don't know about my play, watch my video yesterday. I am slightly concerned about this area acting as some type of support. But it looks like we are dropping below that today. So today, guys, I am looking for BABA to fill this gap right here on the chart. It goes from 128 up to 134. I got in here around 133 area, caught this nice downside up about 50% right now. I am looking for this to continue back to 128 today. So watch BABA today, guys. Watch that gap fill. The Asian market was just about flat yesterday. It ended up being just about flat on the day. So I'm not too concerned about that. We'll see what happens here today on BABA. Watch for this gap fill. That's something that I'm going to be watching. But I really like this Qualcomm, guys. I would really keep this Qualcomm trade on your charts today. Really keep an eye on this Qualcomm. This looks really interesting. All right, last one for me is Abbvie, ABBV. And I think this thing has some downside. Now, I don't like to say that. But you guys can clearly see what I'm looking at here. You have a ridiculous move to the upside. I can imagine what the volume profile looks like here. It's just probably a very big void between 120 and 130. Yeah, look at this. Yeah, I think this is probably bound for some downside here, guys. So you got your definitely a clear rejection. If I go to the weekly chart, it's even more clear. Look at that rejection on the weekly, just a wick over 4 weeks, really ugly wicks. I cannot imagine this not seeing some downside back to 120 here. Big void in volume profile. Obviously starting to break down here. XLV, I believe, is actually still moving lower. So the healthcare sector looks pretty nasty, and that's going to hurt Abbvie. I'm definitely looking for this downside. This could be a very nice play. Pretty juicy percentage point downside, about 10% on option contracts. That's a lot more. So can I catch Abbvie to the upside and downside this year? That would be fantastic. As you guys know, I've made 400% on the upside. Let me see if I can make another few 100% on the downside. I'm going to be watching Abbvie. All right, that's what I got. Let's go to the members. If you guys could just take 1 second out of your day right now and press the like button. Wow, we got 1,000 people in here. All right, well, now that we got 1,000 people in here, I gotta let you guys know about the Epic Desk and Options Insider, the desk mat. I mean, that's only right? I mean, I gotta take advantage of the amount of people in here. So, I'm just kidding, guys. But if you guys are if you're in the market for a desk mat, like the one that I have on my desk, check out this. Check this out. This is something I worked with Epic Desk on. It's pretty badass. And it's got, we'll play this real quick. So I'm gonna turn the volume off. That's it. You got the option Greeks on the right side, bull versus bear, which is incredible detail. I mean, the artist on this was pretty crazy. Wall Street themed. There's your option Greeks right there. And you got the options insider on the street pole and the Wall Street sign. If you guys want to order it, go to the link in the chat and pre-order it. It's pretty sweet. They are very limited, and they will be shipped. I believe the pre-order ends in about. Let me see real quick. When's the pre-order end? Pre-order is through February 12th. So you got about 2 weeks to order these, and then we'll go ahead and start shipping. So check it out. There's my little plug for you today. I apologize, but I had to. All right. Looks like we dropped some viewers there when I did it. All right, let's go ahead and go over what the members want to look at today. I mean, if you want to go on eBay and get a crappy mouse pad, sure. I mean, be my guest. That's not what we're trying to do here. If you want to go get a crappy mouse pad on your desk and look like you have a crappy desk, then yeah, I mean, power to you. All right, lows. I think you're probably getting a little bit of a similar downside move on here, lows as well. You can see pretty big gap in that volume profile and, pretty aggressive move to the downside. There is not much support in this area. There is not much support in this area right here. So I would expect lows to start seeing this move back to around 210 if you start to see that downside continue. Home Depot, that's not very good on Home Depot. You would have liked to see Home Depot hold this. Let me call it VP. Take the VP off. I would have liked to see Home Depot hold this 375. It is not. You're probably coming back to these previous lows around 340. You can see right around here, 340. I'm just looking at structures, guys, because stocks are going to want to come back to these structure points. There's no reason for lows to hold in this area, right? What's the reason that lows is going to hold in this humongous move to the upside? So I really do believe that these stocks need to come back to these structure points. So 210 on lows and 340 on Home Depot. Ford, as we know, guys, I mean, no one should be surprised about this downside on Ford. It's not a mouse pad. It's a desk mat. It's big. I don't think anyone should be surprised about this downside on Ford. This was a pretty obnoxious move. We talked about this in the live streams before, and we talked about us wanting to hold this 23. We are not holding the 23. That was the level we would have wanted to hold. Why do I say that? Because that was these previous support levels here. Support. I wanted to see it hold 23, but it's not. So that's concerning, right? That is a little bit concerning. You definitely need to see it hold in this range right here, this consolidation range. This needs to hold. If this does not hold, you're going to move down. So this consolidation here around 20 to 19, that area needs to be an area of support. You need to start seeing this thing consolidate at this level. If you do not, this thing is, I don't want to say pump and dump because I don't think it will be a pump and dump, but I mean, it's a pretty big momentum move to the upside. And if you do not hold this consolidation and you crack below there, if you crack below right here, I mean, I can't imagine there being much support until around 16s. So that consolidation, you're going to want to see that hold. I'm just not a big believer in gold. I really am not, guys. I don't think gold is a smart place to put your money, especially if you're under the age of 90. That's a little bit of a joke, but I mean, maybe you see some upside on gold, guys, but I'd rather it's just gold is supposed to be the ultimate hedge, but you just really don't see that often. Like this thing is, it's up a few points this week. It's up 2% this week. If you have some money in gold trying to hedge your long-term portfolio and Nvidia's down 20%, 2% on gold, fantastic. Who really cares? So I don't know. Maybe you get a little bit upside. I would maybe keep an eye on it, but I would say this is a pretty short-lived bounce if it does, and it just sort of retraces back to where it was. Not a really big believer in hedging in gold. It's just, I don't think it's really there. I don't think that hedge is really there as much as it maybe used to be. I think that's an old way of thinking, and I think that time has sort of changed. I don't know. I could be totally wrong, but that's just my opinion. If you're here to hear my opinion, then that's my opinion. Dow, DOW, ticker symbol DOW. So you guys can see downside. You can see we started to break out of on the weekly chart right here. Right there, you can see a little bit of a trend, and we're actually we pushed higher out of that move, a little bit of a pullback. You're just going to want to see this. I mean, this is still just a really choppy chart. If you ignore the trend break, this is just a, I mean, there's nothing wrong with owning gold, guys. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's not a good idea. I'm just saying I don't think it's going to be I don't think it's going to be a big hedge. And crypto is not a hedge to gold. And you go watch Andre Jick's video on that. It's actually very interesting. Crypto is looked at, what he talked about, if I could summarize it in 10 seconds, crypto is looked at too risky of an asset to be a hedge of inflation or a hedge against the market. Everyone thought that's what it is. It's not. If it was, Bitcoin wouldn't be down and Ethereum wouldn't be down to almost $2,000 a share, or $2,000 a coin. Crypto is not making you any money right now as the market drops, so it's not a hedge. Don't say that. It's not. Take it out of your mind, because it's just not true. If you're in crypto and stocks right now, you're getting slapped even worse than you are if you weren't in crypto. So anyone that thinks crypto is a hedge to the market is brutally wrong. Why is crypto down? Why is Ethereum at almost $2,000 a share? It's not. It's not a hedge. Unfortunately, that's what everyone thought it was, but it's not. It's clear it's not. Rejection here at 61, and the Dow. Watch that. No, I don't own any. I don't own any Ethereum. I sold it back when did I sell it? Back in September, November, around that area. I had to I was putting money in it as sort of a bank account in some sense, and when I had to pay taxes, quarterly taxes, I just paid it with that. I was just storing money into it as a place to store my cash. I'm happy I ended up taking it out. It worked out great. SYNA 191. That's probably where I see this coming back to. 191. Push, pull back, 191. I'd watch that. Amazon. Amazon, man. Just watch out for this low here. What is this? 2,900. If we break 1,000 or 3,000, watch this 2,900. Because if you break that 2,900, this is going to get a little bit interesting, because there's nothing here. So 2,900, guys, watch that, and then see if we get any support off 3,000 today. We're at a psychological level of 3,000, and then watch this 2,900. But this does not look very good right now. I mean, you're dropping below the 100 SMA. I would assume you just trade within this channel here. You might move back to the bottom of this channel. 2,900. Watch that. All right. UAL. Airlines have just not done it, man. Airlines just not back to virus levels. Really been under pressure lately. It's just I think a place not to have cash in. I wouldn't be invested in the airlines right now. I just don't see it. I mean, it's just sort of a waste of your money. It's just sitting here doing nothing. I would probably look for better opportunities. This is just a really bad opportunity cost situation if you have money in UAL or any airline. It's just slipping lower. Yeah, I mean, I would watch this 42.50 area. If you start to see that slip, you could see a little bit of a flush under there. All right, guys, it's about 9 o'clock. I need to head over to the Discord chat. I hope you guys did enjoy this live stream. I would watch today continuation on Netflix. Watch that continuation. Watch to see if Tesla rejects 1,000. See what happens on Peloton and Affirm. That's going to be interesting to see the second day moves. See if Nvidia can get back to that 230. XLE, which we didn't look at, I'll quickly go into it. XLE on the 4-hour chart has broken the 20 SMA as we talked about. So you can see 20 SMA has moved to the downside. We are moving below that 20 SMA. And that was that sign of me looking for downside. So watch out for that XLE break. Epic Desk order, nice, man. Anthony, once you guys get those, send me pictures. I wanna maybe do something for you guys. Thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you for supporting, and I hope you enjoy the product. Baba, Qualcomm, downside gap fills, and Abbvie. So guys, that's what I'm looking at today. Hope you enjoy the live stream. If you guys could press the like button, can we get to 500 likes? That'd be awesome. We haven't hit 500 likes in a very long time. Shout out to Kasim for the $50 donation today, and also to True Vision for the $4.99. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. I really, really appreciate it. Press the like button, subscribe to the channel. Help me get to 40,000 subs, guys. We're almost there. I want to get there. I want to try to get there by the end of this month. That would be awesome. All right, guys. Have a great day, and I will see you in the Discord chat. Peace out.